So this is why this video is going to be why I took my birth control out, all of the reasons going into that. So let's get into it. Alright, you guys. That transition was crap. So I got my birth control taken out for multiple reasons. A lot of you guys know that I put a poll on Instagram asking you guys if you wanted to see pregnancy videos and newborn videos, and if me and my husband should try for baby number 2. I will get into all of that in a minute, but that is one of the reasons as to why I got my birth control taken out. But before I go into all of that, I am going to go into the symptoms I had for the past 2 years on birth control. So let's start with, so I was completely fine. I loved my birth control up until I was 1 year postpartum, and I was having no periods, I wasn't cramping, I wasn't bleeding. It was great. It was fantastic. I still deeply love this birth control, but once I hit a year postpartum, I started feeling very lightheaded, very dizzy. I just felt like I wasn't there. Along with all of that, and this is a TMI warning, but I was not in the mood for sex at all. I was disinterested, and I would only say yes because if I didn't, he becomes very irritable when he's sexually frustrated. My husband does. So I wouldn't even tell him no. I would just say yes because I didn't want to have to deal with that situation. And he understood that I wasn't feeling the greatest. And as time goes on, I kind of got my sexual activeness back, but it still wasn't the same before I got pregnant and before I got birth control. So he's been a lot more understanding, like the past year, with everything that's been going on. We've just been handed a lot in the past 2 years, so he's been a lot more respectful of, if I don't want to, I don't want to. If I'm not feeling it, I'm not feeling it. And he understands that, which I'm glad, because it took us a while to get to that point. But I was constantly depressed. I was constantly down. I didn't feel like anything was worth it anymore. There was no point to anything. And then about a week after the dizziness and the lightheadedness started, I started, the best way I can describe it is like contraction-like cramps. It's like the cramping, it's like the contractions you have in labor. They are very, very painful. You can't breathe, you can't move while it's happening, which is exactly how I was. I would be curled up in a ball on the floor or on my bed with tears streaming down my face because I feel like I can't breathe, and when I do, it hurts excruciating worse than when I don't, which is surprising because I'm still in excruciating amount of pain. I would be like that for about an hour and a half to 2 hours, with maybe 30 minutes in between each cramp. It was ridiculous. It made it so I couldn't work. It made it so I couldn't really get out of bed except for to go pee real quick. I had a hard time eating because of it. I gained a lot of weight that I couldn't lose. Which is also another reason as to why I wanted to get off of it. I have had this pregnant belly gut for the past year and a half, roughly. I had gained weight back about 6 months after I had Becky, but I was totally okay with it. Before I had her, I was super underweight. I only weighed 97 pounds. That's it. When I had her, after I had her, I went back to my normal weight, which was 97 pounds. You wouldn't believe that I had a baby. And trust me, nobody did. And that's not, it's more uncommon to go back to your weight after you have a baby than to do it gradually. I'm okay with going back to my birth weight, to the weight that I was before I gave birth, but again, I was super underweight. Before I had Becky, I had a hard time keeping anything down. I would throw everything up, or it wouldn't affect my weight. I couldn't gain weight. I couldn't even lose weight. It just sucked. So the gaining weight part I didn't mind until after a year postpartum and that 1.5 month mark, when I really started to notice that I was putting on a lot more weight than I had when I was pregnant. I weigh 113 pounds now. I found that out at my doctor's appointment. I don't mind having weight, but it's the fact that I look like I'm 6 months pregnant that worries me a little bit, or 4 to 5 months pregnant. That's how I look. And I get asked everywhere I go, oh, how far along are you? Oh, boy or girl. It kind of gets annoying. Because then I'm constantly telling people, oh, yeah, I'm not pregnant. And then they just give me this, disgusted look. So that was another reason why I wanted to get off of it. I had noticed it too, especially about 1.5 years postpartum, when it just looked like I was pregnant. And like I said, you guys, I don't mind having weight, but I don't want to look like I'm pregnant. And it'll be a lot easier now for me to lose weight and to put it in other areas of my body than just my stomach, because that's where it's all going. And my face has been looking very swollen the past year, and I couldn't figure out why. And then I was watching a whole bunch of stories of people getting off Nexplanon that have lost weight in their face because it just got swollen and stayed there, and their stomachs have been going down a little bit because of, again, the Nexplanon. It adds weight to places that you don't necessarily need it. So, I'm loving the weight, I really am. I'm glad that I'm finally at a healthy weight, but I just want it distributed throughout my body instead of just pooling all in my stomach. When I went to my doctor at that year mark, roughly, a week after my year mark of giving birth, I went in feeling all hopeful that we were going to find out what it was, because I was in I was in excruciating amount of pain. And again, I had to wait 2 weeks before I could even get an appointment. So I went another 2 weeks with an extreme amount of pain, And when I went in there, and this is one of the main reasons as to why I'm looking for another OBGYN, is because of this story. I went in and he goes, "What are we seeing you for?" And I'm like, "I've been having a lot of contraction-like pains for the past almost month." And he goes, "Okay, rate your pain from 1 to 10. I said, because I was in excruciating amount of pain and no pain meds were working, Tylenol, acetaminophen, ibuprofen, none of it was working. I said, pain level for me, 8, 8.5. Like, labor was easier than this, and I had to get an epidural because I couldn't breathe. The nurses were so worried about me because I wasn't breathing that they told me I had no choice but to get an epidural. And that to me is a 6.5 and a 7 pain. Okay? This pain was worse than my labor. Like, take that into account. And labor is not easy. So he just goes, he looks me straight in the face and goes, "No, you're lying. That pain isn't that bad. You're more like a 6." And then wrote that down, and then just said, it's the birth control, and walked out. And then said, "We'll see you another time." That's it. I got no explanation. I got no pain meds for it. Nothing. I literally got told that my pain rate was a lie, and no explanation as to why it was the birth control or why it was happening or any of that, or if it even was normal. And then he just walked out. And I gathered my belongings. I was pissed and furious because what the fuck was the point in going down there if I was just going to be told, "Oh yeah, you're overreacting and it's just your birth control." Like, this is my first birth control ever. You guys, I didn't have birth control before I got pregnant because my mother wouldn't let me. And then I was going to get on birth control, and then a couple months later, I found out I was pregnant. So it could just be that my body's not used to it, and it was kind of overreacting a little bit to it. But at the same time, shouldn't you disclose that in at least the pamphlet? Hey, if this is your first birth control, you might be having these side effects. No. In the pamphlet, it literally doesn't say anything about painful cramps. It says you may heavy bleed. You may have irregular periods. You may not bleed. You may be on and off again with bleeding. No, it doesn't state anything about the cramping at all. I went home. I was pissed. Felt very, very low. It eased up about 6 months later. I was still having them. It just wasn't as painful or as frequent, thank goodness. I would only have it maybe twice a day for about 30 minutes each time. It was a little bit more manageable. I could eat, I could drink water. Pain meds were sort of helping at that point. At that 1.5 year mark, I started to heavy bleed. Now, before I had started to get irregular periods a year postpartum, but they were only irregular because one would be a day early, like I'd start a day early than the previous month, or I'd start a day later than the previous month. So it would flip-flop. Sometimes it would be the same, sometimes it'd be different. So it wasn't like super irregular, it was just only ever off by like a day. And then the 1.5 year mark, of being on the Nexplanon, I started to heavy bleed, which is another reason why I wanted to get off of it. Because I would soak through so many underwear with just blood, with pads on. Like, I would double my pads, I'd wear liners at night. The strange thing was, and I would have clots every once in a while. After 2 months, I started only bleeding, heavy bleeding during the day, nothing at night. So I'd still wear panty liners, or I'd wear a pad to bed, because when I woke up and I'd go to the bathroom for the first time, everywhere down there is bloody. And it just felt, I just constantly felt yucky, if that makes sense. Even if I'd taken a shower or a bath, I would still feel blech and yucky, and I just was kind of done with that. After another month of that happening, the heavy bleeding subdued, but I was having irregular periods at that point. So I would be off my period for a week, I'd be on my period for a week, off a week, on a week, off a week, on a week. Sometimes I would be off for a week. Sometimes I'd be off for 2 weeks, be on my period for a week, be off 1 week, be on a week. So it got really ridiculous because I was having like 2 periods each month, which was not fun, because I'd be like, oh, I'm finally done bleeding. I can, another month until this happens. And then about a week later, I'd start again, and I would just be pissed. And my mood swings were horrible. I mean, my husband couldn't deal with me, but I couldn't even deal with myself, because there'd be times where I'd be angry or sad or depressed, and I didn't even know why. So it would frustrate me, because I don't want to feel like this. My husband doesn't want me feeling like this. It just got very hard to be rational at that point. That stopped around the 2-year mark. Again, I had gone to my doctor, but didn't get any sort of explanation other than the fact that it was my birth control. And then a little after my daughter's 2-year birthday, I asked you guys if you wanted to see pregnancy videos, if you wanted me and my husband to try for baby number 2. A lot of you guys said yes, and that made me very, very happy, because even if most of you had said no, I wouldn't have given a fuck. I still would have gotten off birth control, and you guys still would be seeing pregnancy videos, because me and my husband want to try for number 2. I wasn't basing us trying off of what you guys wanted. I really want to try for baby number 2, and I wanted to know what the rest of you guys were feeling with that. I got a lot of yeses. I only got 1 no. You know who you are, and I'm gonna call you out for it. The 1 no was my sister. She had her baby, and then about 3 weeks later, I had posted that. Do you guys want to see me and my husband try for baby number 2? Now, I am a little annoyed that she said no. I get that she just had her first baby. I understand that. But she won't even let me and my husband and my daughter come see her baby. I would put off having baby number 2 if I was allowed to see her baby, because that would, I just want a baby to hold. Like, that's it. You know what I mean? Like, that's not the only reason why I want a baby, but there's so many rewarding things about being a mother. but that would push back when I want my child, when I want to have a second baby. I at first was told she doesn't want little kids at her house. So I would have to find a babysitter for my daughter in order to go see my niece. And the only reason she doesn't want little kids there is because they have a dog. Only gonna be there for 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes at the most. I was told that she didn't want babies there. She didn't want toddlers, no kids. I was fine with that. Then I tried to set an appointment to go see my niece with my husband without our daughter, and I was told, oh yeah, she doesn't want to see you because you have a kid. I'm not planning on bringing my kid, and yet she still doesn't want to see me. So now I know for a fact that she just doesn't want me there. She doesn't want me to see my niece. So you know what? The next time I have my baby, you can go fuck yourself. Close to a pregnant woman and you're rude as fuck to them, their kid is going to hate you. And I can speak from experience. My mom was not really there for my pregnancy, and my daughter hates her. My dad was there for me during my entire pregnancy, and she is best friends with him. So don't tell me it's not true. Because I know it is. I have seen it happen firsthand with my family. If you don't like that I want a second kid, fine. Don't watch me. I may not be financially stable, but there are other people in worse situations than mine having multiple kids. There are people who are homeless, who have been homeless for years, who have like 4 or 5 kids. So don't tell me I can't do it. And if that's how you're going to react, you can go fuck yourself. I got off birth control because I wanted to. I got off birth control because I want a second kid. Hope you guys enjoyed why I got off birth control. Sorry I called them out. I'm just still very, very angry. My sister had no right. I got off birth control because I was having issues. I got off birth control because I want to conceive baby number 2. And if you guys don't like that, then don't be there for me. Don't be pissed off when I have baby number 2. Thank you guys for watching. I know this was kind of a long one, but if you guys wanted to know the reasons why I got off birth control, here are the reasons I got off birth control. Pain, weight, need a new OBGYN, want baby number 2, and all the other ones that I said, if I'm blanking on any. See you guys later, and I love you. Bye.